It is 6:30, so I will keep my eye out for Chair Vega Peterson and Commissioner Jones Dixon, but you have 8 of 10 commissioners, so I will turn it over to you.
Clerk Moss and Clerk Covius, would it be okay if we just wait another minute?
Yeah, we certainly can.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Here is Commissioner Chair Vega Peterson joining. Welcome, Chair Vega Peterson.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
And now here is Commissioner Jones Dixon moving over as well.
See, it was worth waiting that extra minute.
That's all right. Over to you, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss, and good evening all, and welcome to this joint meeting of the Washington County and the Multnomah County Board of Commissioners to fill a vacancy for House District 34 due to the resignation of Representative Lisa Reynolds. Pursuant to ORS 171.060 sub 1 and OAR 165-010-0060, county commissioners were notified of the vacancy on December 20th of 2024. The Democratic Party precinct committee persons of State House District 34 met and chose nominees to fill the vacancy. The nominees chosen are Sarah Beachy, Alexandria Goddard, and Mari Watanabe. We, as the appointing authority, are here tonight to appoint one person from the list of nominees. The vacancy must be filled no later than January 21 of 2025, 30 days after the vacancy occurred. I, Catherine Harrington, Chair of the Washington County Board of Commissioners, have been asked to chair this meeting by the Oregon Secretary of State Office. The process of today's meeting will be as follows. Excuse me. First, we're going to have the opportunity for some commissioner sharing. Then we will have an opportunity to hear from members of the public regarding the nominees. And with the number of people signed up, I think members of the public will get 1 minute apiece. Following that, we'll have opening statements from each of the nominees, including questions from commissioners, and then finally comments from the nominees before deliberations and a vote by the county commissioners. I know I look forward to this process, just like my various very thoughtful county commissioners tonight. I'd like to thank our staff support for tonight's meeting. The 2 board clerks for Washington County, we have Clerk to the Board Kevin Moss. For Multnomah County, we have Mariana Jovius. Thank you. And our county counsel tonight is Courtney Duke-Dreesen from Washington County. And possibly also, I haven't checked the Zoom to see if Jenny Madcore, county counsel for Multnomah County, is here tonight. Clerk Moss, will you please take the roll, starting with the Multnomah County Commission?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Commissioner Jones Dixon.
Here.
Commissioner Brum Edwards.
Present.
Commissioner Singleton.
Here.
Commissioner Moyer.
She has signaled she's here,
She's
thumbs up,
present.
and we can see her.
And Chair Vega Peterson.
Here.
Right. Commissioner Treese.
Here.
Commissioner Fye.
Present.
Commissioner Willie.
Here.
Commissioner Snyder.
Here.
Chair Harrington.
Here. Thank you. The House District 34 appointment is a little bit unique from past state legislative appointments, as this is just about a position to complete almost the entire 2-year term and involves a full slate of applicants that have not held elected office, let alone prior state legislative experience, as we have with past appointments over these 6 years in my service as Washington County Chair. I know that each of us is endeavoring to make a thoughtful and well-informed decision. And thus far, we have received a lot of emails, text messages, phone calls, and have taken various requests for meetings. I know that we're each looking forward to hearing what is to come, including candidate responses to commissioner questions. Given our commission efforts to do our work for the public in an open and transparent manner, I'm asking each commission member here tonight to take the time to share what levels of advocacy you have experienced for this position with 2 specific asks. Please share if you met with any of these candidates between the point of vacancy and tonight's meeting. Beyond the many emails that we have received, especially those after the January 5th Democratic Party convening of the nominating committee, please share what advocacy you may have experienced that is outside of the public eye. That might include phone calls, text messages, meetings that you wish to have entered here into the public record. Certainly, none of you are required to share this, as this is not a quasi-judicial meeting. It is an option. Please do what is ever comfortable for you, and I will certainly start in sharing my disclosures for tonight's meeting. I just wanted to share that I have met with 2 of the 3 candidates, Alexandria Goddard on November 26th and Sarah Beachy on December 12th. And since that Democratic Party convening for these House District nominees, I have received a phone call from Governor Brown on Monday evening. She's a big Mari supporter. I have received a text from Commissioner Julia Brim Edwards. I have read all the emails that I received in my inbox prior to 4 p.m. today, and I think I caught each of them between 4 p.m. and this meeting started. I also chatted on the phone with Senator Reynolds about this being a tough choice to make tonight, and she was clear with me that she was not making an endorsement of any of these applicants. So that's what I wanted to share with each of you, my colleagues here tonight in this decision making, as well as for the benefit of our public. And now I invite each of you who might wish to take this opportunity before we move on to public comment and then our time with the applicants to share anything you would like to share at this point.
Happy to go
Chair
next.
Harrington. Oh,
Feel free to either
sorry.
use the raise your hand feature or wave or unmute, whatever works.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Harrington. Appreciate the chance. So, I've read all of the different testimony that was sent to our official inboxes, which included emails in support of different candidates, as well as endorsement notifications of endorsements from some of the labor unions for different candidates. And I had phone calls with the two of the candidates, Mari Watanabe and Alexandria Goddard on Monday, January 13th. And then I had an in-person conversation with Rep. Tweed Tran, and she spoke of her support for Mari Watanabe.
Commissioner Moyer?
Yeah, I just want to disclose that I had the opportunity when requested. I spoke with both Mari Watanabe and Sarah Beachy. Both had asked to meet with me, and I did. Other than that, the only communications that I've had are various emails in support. I've gotten emails in support of all candidates. And I did choose to look at any supporting material that any candidate provided me.
Thank you. Commissioner Schneider?
Thank you. Trying to get my hand down there. I was asked by 2 candidates to meet in person. I met with candidate Sarah Beachy on December 9th, 2024, and Mari Watanabe on December 12th, 2024, at their requests. I received a text message from Bridget Brooks, City Councilor in Tualatin, in support of Alexandria Goddard. I received a phone call from Nike government relations staff supporting Mari Watanabe. I was in a meeting with Felicita Montblanco about something else, and she actually raised this topic. So I guess that's an in-person meeting where this came up. She was in support of Mari Watanabe, and then I received a text message today from Commissioner Brim Edwards. That's what I have to disclose.
Thank you. Commissioner Treese?
Thank you. My list is very similar to others here. I don't have the exact dates, but I have met with all 3 candidates and pleased to do so. I also did hear from Governor Kate Brown. I heard from Bridget Brooks and Lisa Monteblanco as well. And those 3 were in favor of Mari Watanabe. Excuse me, Bridget Brooks indicated that she felt strongly that we should follow the PCP vote from the Washco Dems.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Brim Edwards?
Yes. So my general practice is when we have an appointment, at least since I've been on the commission, is to try and meet with each of the candidates. In this particular case, I've known Mari for, I don't know, 15 years. So I did not meet with her. I've worked fairly extensively with her, both on employment equity issues and a host of, and also in her capacity at Portland Community College. I did have an opportunity, and it was at my initiation, to meet with both Alexandria and Sarah, and it's a delight to have 3 excellent candidates. I also received emails and texts, I think the ones that everyone else received. I also heard from a wide variety of people who have worked with Mari Watanabe in support of her candidacy, and also received a text from new Portland Council member Tiffany Lane.
Thank you. Commissioner Fye?
Thank you, Board Clerk. My audio okay?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. It's great to see you all, Multnomah County, Washington County Board of Commissioners. Welcome to our neck of the neighborhood this time, and excited to do this appointment process with you all again. And this time the table is turned. We have the most votes. So just saying out there. And welcome to the newly elected Multnomah County Board of Commissioners. I look forward to meeting with you all individually and connecting with you and getting to learn more about your vision and see what we can collaborate regionally so we can effectively serve our residents in our region. I'll follow suit. I'll follow Commissioner Brim Edwards right after. I myself too have met with all the candidates as part of my due diligence process, as well as their due diligence process. This is a two-way street, which includes various meetings and discussions. I ensure that any advocacy efforts related to public matters are properly documented and entered into the public record. in line with my commitment and our Washington County commitment to transparency and accountability. And I appreciate the board's both clerks for receiving all the emails that I've got. My inbox are full. We're full of a lot of emails, and I send it to you. And I did make a record to follow up with you with any other emails I found in my inbox. So I will try to fulfill that commitment. But as of right now, I think I sent it everything to you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Fye. Commissioner Singleton?
Thank you. I, as well, was able to have a phone conversation with each of the candidates, and I just want to appreciate it. Sounds like you all had a lot of conversations and meetings, so just want to appreciate your engagement in this process and making sure that we can make an informed decision. I've also spoken with some community leaders in Washington County who I've had the privilege to work with in the past to get a sense for what are top priorities in the community, so I could really be thoughtful about what I was hearing from the candidates as well. So thank you.
All right, you're welcome. I do not see any other hand. Oh, Commissioner Jones-Dixon.
Thank you. Thank you, Clerk Moss. I have not personally been in contact with any of the candidates. I know my chief of staff has reached out. He reached out tomorrow. I believe they had a brief conversation. I've read through the materials as well. And then I believe one of the counselors about a month ago, Counselor Hassan, reached out to me in support of the candidate. So thank you.
Commissioner Willie?
Yes, I met with all three of the candidates and read all of the emails and text messages, and yeah, am well informed, I believe. Thank you.
Not seeing any other hands, Chair Harrington.
Well, I think that was all of us there. So thank you so much, colleagues. I really appreciate that. And it is now time for public comment. So, oh, whoops, sorry, I skipped a step. Clerk Moss, maybe we should have done this earlier, but could you take, oh, we did the roll already. Whew,
Yes, we did.
I forgot that. And now it's time for public comment. I get a little nervous making sure I go through all the steps. So thank you for your consideration. For everyone tonight, please keep your comments to 1 minute apiece. Thank you. And Clerk Moss, would you please ask if anyone has comments regarding any of the three nominees before us?
Yes, Madam Chair. So we'll go kind of in the list that I have of they signed up. So we'll start with Allison Soda. So Allison, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, please go ahead for up to 1 minute.
Good evening. My name is Allison Soda, and I thank you for the opportunity to champion Sarah Beachy. So I own 3 businesses in Oregon, 2 here in Bethany, and I teach at Bethany Athletic Club. My 3 children are also in BSD. Now, I've known Sarah now for almost a decade, and I've seen her leadership in action, most notably when we co-organized the Bethany March for Justice in 2020. So what stands out to me most about Sarah is her ability to really listen and truly understand people's needs, no matter their background. And that's because Sarah is a collaborator, and she's always seeking solutions that bring people together. I saw this firsthand when she asked to travel with me to India, not for the historical treasures or the delicious cuisine, but to deepen her understanding of the traditions and culture that shape our diverse community. That's who Sarah is, someone who seeks that knowledge, and she uses it to build stronger connections. For many of us in Bethany, Sarah's actually our go-to when we have questions about local policy or government. And this reputation isn't given, it is earned. And that is why I support Sarah, because she acts, she gets it done, and she knows how to serve. So as a business owner and a parent, I would like a representative who not only is an effective listener, but someone who really understands the importance of strategy, collaboration, and compassion.
Please finish up.
Sure. So commissioners, it would be a disadvantage to our community, to all of us, if she is overlooked for the seat. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Dan Reed. Dan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you all hear me?
Yes, please go ahead for 1 minute.
All right, thank you. So yeah, my name is Dan Reed. I'm a resident of Washington County since 2014. been a constituent of District 34 since 2016 when we moved to North Bethany. Shortly after that, Sarah and I joined the North Bethany Community Service District for Roads Budget Committee when it was formed in 2017, and Sarah served as chair of that committee for, I think, almost all of its history at this point. In that time, Sarah's always shown a deep commitment and dedication to the welfare of the families in our community. As you all know, it's a very diverse community, a lot of young families, and she's always looking out for what priorities can we set to enhance the safety of the families. For example, advocating for a separated walkway along Kaiser Road before, since we don't have sidewalks out there, how can we make that safer for families who are walking to Sato Elementary from the multifamily housing developments along Kaiser. She's also shown a really deep commitment to education with her work with
Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Next, we have Katina Kwan.
Evening, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Great. My name is Katina Kwan, and I'm a resident of Washington County, as well as a constituent of House District 34. For over 25 years, I want to recommend Sarah Beachy based upon the leadership skills I've witnessed in the time I've known her. We met at Sato Elementary when it opened in 2017, and Sarah stepped up immediately as the founding president, and I was the co-treasurer of Sato Elementary Community Organization. And as you can imagine, a lot of uncertainty in that first year, new principals, student body, and staff. I saw Sarah establish working relationships with everyone, and her ability to make everything happen in order for kids to thrive in year one. An example of that is Sato has a STEAM focus, which is STEM plus art. So there were really unique opportunities to fundraise to bring wind and oar school to fifth graders to learn to build a boat. From the time I've known her, she's been dedicated to her community. She works at Beaverton Education Foundation, and she has this continued commitment and outreach to solicit and partner with schools to help them. And I'm so proud of her efforts to continue her education as she pursued a master's in public administration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Mary Manso. Mary, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Great. I'm Mary Manso, and as of May 2025, I will have lived in Bethany in urban unincorporated Washington County for 43 years. Those of you who know me can attest to my involvement in seeking solutions for local issues with community members, Washington County staff, and electeds in my capacity as a CPO leader. I've worked side by side with Sarah Beachy on solutions facing our region. Through her leadership on county boards and work groups, Sarah has firsthand experience with the funding issues facing Washington County, the transportation issues facing our region, and the special issues created for community members living outside of city limits. I don't envy you for your decision. 3 excellent choices, each with their own unique set of skills and experiences. However, because of Sarah Beachy's experience with local issues facing counties and the region, she is the right choice at this time to represent House District 34. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Next, we have Suzanne Hayden. Suzanne, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Suzanne Hayden, and I'm testifying in favor of Mari Watanabe's appointment to serve as the representative for House District 34, which is my district since 1999. Mari and I met more than a decade ago, and when we ran organizations affiliated with the Portland Business Alliance. Mari was the executive director of Partners in Diversity and ran the PBA's leadership program, and I was the executive director for the Citizens Crime Commission. And we work together daily, and we've become close friends. It was Mari's work building these bridges between public safety, community organizations, and the business community that led to her receiving the prestigious FBI Community Partner Award in 2023. I know Mari to be strategic, organized, goal-driven, and community-focused. She has a quiet leadership style that motivates people to join her efforts. She's smart, disciplined, curious, compassionate, and humble. And I ask that you appoint her to represent this community in the legislature. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Muhammad Ajouri. You're good. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. As you all know, House District 34 is a very diverse, and demographics of that district have changed drastically over the past 20 years. As of recent, several schools in the district are even majority API students. Mari Watanabe has lived in that district for many years, and in my opinion, is the most ideal leader to represent it. Mari has dedicated her life to serving our community. When I first met Mari, when we were both on the Oregon Commission on Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs, which I also served on, Mari tirelessly volunteered on the commission, even serving as chair during the tenure. Her efforts led to legislation that benefited our communities, especially the API communities. On the commission, Mari spearheaded the passing of legislation that brought ethnic studies into the classrooms, ensuring all students see themselves reflected in the history. Additionally, Mari championed several other crucial bills, including inclusive zoning, affordable housing, cultural competency training, clean energy, and a bill to provide services for kids with incarcerated parents. We would like to see the residents of House District 34 be represented by a leader who can fully understand what it's like to exist in that district while being who they are. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Edward Kimmy. Edward, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
My name is Edward Kimmy. I am honored to support the nomination of Mari Watanabe to represent the House District 34 as the first Japanese American in the Oregon legislature. While I serve as a council president for Beaverton, I speak today in a personal capacity. Mari's extensive experience in policy work, workforce development, and her commitment to diversity make her the ideal candidate. I had the privilege of working with Mari on Beaverton's first diversity advisory board, where we created the city's first diversity, equity, and inclusion plan and the highly successful Beaverton Night Market. Mari's leadership in inclusionary housing policy and her ability to navigate both public and private sectors demonstrate the expertise and vision needed for House District 34. Washington County deserves a representative with Mari's professional acumen and deep commitment to justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Madison Walters. Madison, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Great. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Madison Walters. I'm a member and political liaison of United Food and Commercial Workers Local 555. Our members come from a number of industries, including grocery, retail, food processing, and healthcare. We're a diverse group of workers who take pride in acting as a strong collective voice for working people, and we strongly urge your support for Alexandria Goddard for state representative. Her commitment to her community has been reflected by the overwhelming majority vote from HD 34's PCPs, as well as the significant outpouring of support by community members and partner organizations. My members alone submitted over 130 comments into the record ahead of the deadline in support of Ms. Goddard, so I'm sorry for your email inboxes, everybody. But I just want to say that Alexandria has incredibly deep ties to House District 34, and her impressive resume demonstrates a deep understanding of Oregon's policy landscape. I can personally attest to her knowledge and her ability to collaborate and effectively pass quality legislation that House District 34 and Oregon needs. We know Alexandria will be a fierce and effective champion for her district, and her voice is sorely needed in Salem. We strongly urge you to support Alexandria Goddard to HD 34, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Frank So. Frank, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, can. Please go ahead.
Great. Commissioners, thank you very much. And as other speakers have said, this is not an easy task. We've got wonderful candidates. I am a resident of House District 34 since 1996, a Washington County PCP who unfortunately was out of town during the vote, but my vote would have gone for Mari Watanabe. I stand with Mari Watanabe. She is a wise, caring leader with a very sensitive style. She understands what equity, she understands what inclusion means. I've had the chance to work with Mari as a nonprofit leader and executive director of Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon, but I come in my personal capacity to say that she is a person who represents our community very well. As a former Obama appointee, I will also say it is wonderful to have someone with her leadership who represents people who look like me. I fully endorse Mari, and I appreciate your consideration of her candidacy.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Christy Wilson. Christy, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, can. Please go ahead.
Yay! Okay. My name is Christy Wilson, and I'm a longtime constituent of House District 34. and a former elected on the Portland Community College Board of Directors, where Mari and I served as chair and vice chair. I appreciate the opportunity to provide testimony regarding the appointment of her to the position of District 34 on the Oregon House of Representatives. I have known Mari as a colleague, workforce partner, and elected official, and I can confidently state that she's the most qualified choice to serve as the representative for this district. Her work in Washington and Multnomah County speaks for itself. We need her experience and all that she brings to this role. She's the voice and advocate we need in this position, and I strongly believe that she will serve effectively and with integrity, and that her appointment will be critical addition to the Oregon House of Representatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Bridget Brooks. Bridget, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Hello, commissioners, and thank you for the time letting me speak. My name is Bridget Brooks. Many people know me as an elected, as I'm a city councilor in Tualatin. People also know me as a social worker in the community that's served for over 2 decades. And then finally, I've also been a volunteer and a voted in PCP and officer, secretary of the Washington County Party, as well as a Biden delegate. I'm concerned tonight. I have attended other elections such as this. I am expressing my support for Alexandria Goddard. I wouldn't normally be reaching out today. However, because the votes were 9,828 for Alexandria Goddard compared to Mari Wantenby 2,915 and Sarah Beachy at 2,677. The majority of these PCPs were elected.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks.
Yes?
That is your minute.
Oh, well, please uphold our democratic process and let the voters and uphold the votes of the voters. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Representative Tui Tran. Representative.
Good evening, commissioners. I'm Tui Tran, State Representative of House District 45, Northeast and Southeast Portland. This is my second term in the Oregon legislature. I'm here to request your vote for Mari Watanabe to be appointed as State Representative of Oregon House District 34. She has lived in Washington County for 24 years and in House District 34 for 20. And she is deeply invested in the well-being and future of the district. She brings a wealth of experience and a deep commitment for public service. She serves on the Portland Community College Board of Trustees, is a founding member of the City of Beaverton's Diversity Advisory Board, and served 2 terms as on the Cultural Coalition of Washington County, brought many programs into the district and county through the nonprofit Partners in Diversity. Partner in Diversity signature program is Say Hey. I've been through to it. And as a small business owner, the people that were looking for jobs and the companies that are there will help Oregon as a whole.
Thank you, Madam Representative.
All right. Last comment. You say none of the 3 candidates have been elected, but Mari, through her advocacy with OCAPIA, the Oregon Commission for Asian and Pacific Islander, have passed many bills. So she is perfect.
Thank you, Representative.
In the
Thank
state.
you. Thank you.
Next, we have John Epstein. John, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Great, thank you. Hello, I'm John Epstein. I come today in support of Alexandria Goddard's appointment to the seat. At the end of 2020, my family suffered a horrible tragedy, losing our teenage son to a counterfeit prescription pill made of fentanyl. It's a complicated issue, but experts say that changing youth perception of harm about prescription medicine and fentanyl through education is a vital protective factor that can save lives. We advocated for that education across the state, but solutions were slow and forthcoming until Alexandria Goddard, who was working as a staffer in Salem, learned of this issue and knew and was convinced the state could do more. Together with Senator Chris Gorsuch, she drafted a bill requiring all schools in Oregon to provide instruction on this topic and other safety provisions. She formed a coalition of legislators, found active support and testimony from community groups and unions, and drove the bill to unanimous passage in the House and Senate. Governor Kotek immediately signed it into law, and Oregon became the first state in the country to do this. This school year, it's being implemented in all of our schools. In fact, I'm just returning from Seaside, where 100% of their middle school and high school students received the lessons this month with great effect.
Right,
Alexandria made this happen. It's a great example of how she has a deep experience, skills, and relationships to successfully perform the job, and the mindset of caring for her community and getting stuff done to make her truly great at it.
Your 1 minute's over. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have State Senator Chris Gorsuch. Mr. Senator.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Senator.
Excellent. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. And by the way, thank you all for your service. I am the state senator for District 25 in East Multnomah County. I have known Alexandria Goddard for several years, and she has been my LA2 for the past 2 years. We've worked together on transportation issues, healthcare, criminal justice issues, among many others. She's a recent graduate of Portland State University. She plans to go to law school at Willamette. I have found her to be a bright, articulate, and hardworking person. And she and my chief of staff kept my office working well when I was out on sick leave a couple of years ago. She also, as has been mentioned before, carried the day on legislation regarding the education of students about the dangers of fentanyl. She knows how the legislature works and will be able to get right to the business of serving her district effectively as soon as hopefully she's appointed. So I wholeheartedly support her appointment to the Oregon legislature, and thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Senator. Next, we have Stephanie Hooper. Stephanie, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you very much. And I apologize, I have a terrible cold, but felt that it was important to be here. My name is Stephanie Hooper, and I really appreciate the opportunity to provide support of Mari Watanabe. I've been a resident of Washington County for 29 years and District 34 for the last 15. Mari is the leader we need because of her extensive public and private sector experience. She has a proven track record of uplifting and supporting minority voices in critical areas for this district, such as economic development, education, and infrastructure. Approximately 48% of residents in District 34 are non-white, and 33% are Asian. This high level of racial and ethnic diversity makes District 34 one of the most diverse areas in Oregon, especially with its proximity to Washington County and the Portland metro area. I would encourage the commissioners to balance the PCP vote with the actual demographics and racial makeup of the district. It's beyond time for District 34 to be represented by a person of color, and we are fortunate to have such an accomplished leader stepping up who is ready to take on this important role.
Thank you, Ms. Hooper. Next, we have Linda Feldhahn. Linda, can you hear us?
Hi, hello, yes, I can.
Please go ahead.
All right, well, my name is Linda Feldhahn, and I'm here to express my support for Sarah Beachy as our House District 34 representative. I've lived in this district since 2010, and I've known Sarah in a volunteer capacity since 2015 when we both showed up to Springville Elementary with kindergarten students and volunteered. She has been tireless in her advocacy for the community where she lives and serves, whether it's involvement with the PTO, a CPO, the boundary committees for our school, land use and transportation, or the Beaverton Education Foundation, she is involved. helping in whatever capacity is most needed, both professionally and personally. She keeps her composure and works through problems like few I've seen. Her analysis and understanding of difficult issues always works towards a solution. She can see how to work out problems and communicate these solutions with professionalism and determination. She's a voice of reason, equity, intelligence, knowledge, and professionalism. We need people in the district that know the district they're representing. I've been in many meetings brainstorming. How do we get people involved? How do we get the community to engage?
Thank you, Ms. Feldman.
Appoint her for it. Thank you.
Next, we have Leanne Gentry. Leanne, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you. My name is Leanne Gentry. I've lived in Washington County for 15 years, and I've been a constituent of House District 34 for 8. Well, I officially met Sarah Beachy 5 years ago during our shared time working at the Beaverton Education Foundation. I've seen her commitment to our community for almost a decade. A natural collaborator, Sarah's ongoing community outreach connects needs with local resources to find sustainable solutions for all. As an engaged parent, an active volunteer, and through her work at BEF, Sarah tirelessly advocates to ensure no student is left behind. Nancy Pelosi recently said, "Know your power, know your why, and be ready." Sarah's power is creating connections for success. Her why is our community, and I can confidently say she is ready to lead in House District 34.
Thank you. Next, we have Suzanne Grasper. Suzanne, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Suzanne?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay, I can't hear you, but you can hear me. Okay, I'll go. I'm here this evening to endorse Alexandria Goddard. I've watched her blossom into a strong leader and a compassionate advocate. She treats everyone who she meets with the utmost respect and kindness. When I hear her talk, I am mesmerized by her ability to articulate her viewpoints in an intelligent and grounded way. I've learned a lot from her, even though I'm over twice her age. To me, she is the political expert in the room, and I lean on her to fill in my knowledge gaps. I embrace the idea of having a 25-year-old woman serve as my state representative. I have firsthand experience of how powerful young leadership can be. I became a U.S. Navy officer at the age of 22 via the ROTC program. Upon graduating from college and receiving my commission, I was on the road from PA to Oregon to lead service members as a Navy ensign. Alexandria will hit the ground sprinting in her leadership role as the House District 34 representative. I ask you to bring this remarkable 25-year-old leader's voice to the Oregon legislative table. I am eager to rally behind her. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Suzanne. Next, we have State Senate President Rob Wagner. Mr. Senate President, can you hear us?
Yeah, thanks, Clerk Moss. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. For your record, State Senate President Rob Wagner. I represent communities in Clackamas, Washington, and Multnomah counties. I've been a PCP for 28 years, and you sent a great panel of qualified candidates to these county commissions, so thank you. It was February 19th of 2027. I was at Portland Community College, and it was the day of remembrance, the 75th year of the signing of EO 9066, the forced removal of Japanese Oregonians who lost their homes. And I met Mari Watanabe. She spoke with compassion and care and fortitude and strength about what that time meant to her family and how the lessons of yesterday impact the learning for all Oregon children. I have 1 minute and 2 things to say. First, given our state's history, 166 years under our Constitution, no person of Japanese ancestry has ever served in the Oregon State Legislature. And second, well beyond representation, these communities and what it means to Oregonians, you have a generational opportunity to send Mari a truly transformational, experienced, collaborative, and thoughtful leader to our Oregon legislature. It's nice to hear the voice of my colleagues, and I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Senate President. Next, we have Metro Councilor Juan Carlos Gonzalez. Mr. Metro Councilor, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, excellent. Buenas noches, commissioners. This is Juan Carlos Gonzalez, Metro Councilor.
but I'm joining today in my personal capacity as a constituent of House District 34, and I want to encourage you to appoint Mari Watanabe to represent our region's interests. Mari is an exceptionally qualified leader with a proven track record of strengthening our region's economy through workforce development, offering technical expertise and experience in her various leadership roles, and increasing diversity across industries here. HD 34 has one of the most racially diverse constituencies in the state, and I feel strongly that we need a leader like Mari who understands the issues facing these communities and is a trusted voice with the relationships necessary to make tangible change. She has broad experience in the corporate and nonprofit sector and is an invaluable contribution to our state as we work to build shared prosperity. Her experience sets up our region with another champion who is well-equipped and responsive to our priorities. So I urge you and I ask you to please appoint Mari to House District 34. Thank you so much and good night.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Cynthia Munoz. Cynthia, can you hear us?
Yes.
Please
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Cynthia Bronger Munoz, and I do not reside in House District 34, but I am a Washington County resident. And I'm here today in a personal capacity, not representing any organization, though I do work professionally as a public affairs consultant for the Oregon Education Association. And I have the privilege of working with Ms. Alexandria Goddard on several pieces of legislation, be it education to healthcare. And I've confidently say she's an exceptional advocate for education, and she has deep understanding of the challenges facing our schools, educated students, and really our community. And it's been evident in every project we've worked on together. Ms. Goddard's ability to approach complex policy issues with precision, clarity, and a collaborative spirit ensures smooth and effective outcomes, as it has been stated here with a few of the things that she has done at the legislature and made possible. Ms. Goddard is more than ready to hit the ground running. She brings professionalism, expertise, and a strong commitment to serving her community with an equity-focused approach. And really winning that PCP was no easy task. She puts in the work. And Ms. Goddard had showed her dedication and capability, effectively representing values and trust of her community that have voted for her. I strongly support Ms. Goddard, and I urge the vote to appoint her. Thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Arti Rashikashana. Got that right? Can you hear us? Are you able to unmute? Just another moment here. Looks like they're not able to unmute. That completes the list of me searching Zoom. Is there any other members that wish to provide comment for up to 1 minute regarding this presentation? Okay, we did have a hand go up and it went back. There it is. Okay, we have Rick Bush. Mr. Bush?
Yeah, hi. My name is Rick Bush, and I live in Hillsborough and teach in the Beaverton School District in Stoller Middle School. I've lived in Hillsborough and worked in the Beaverton School District for about 12 years. I've known and worked with Sarah Bishi for about 6 years, and worked while she worked at the Beaverton Education Foundation. I've found her to be a tireless advocate for the kids in our community. One project that we worked on together comes to mind. During COVID, my team found that students and parents weren't accessing our digital learning platforms, and many of those families were concentrated in the apartment complexes within our school boundaries. I came to her with an idea. Instead of sending out yet another email blast into the void, we could create like a portable projector, laptop, and portable generator with a portable screen that we could use to teach parents how to access the learning platforms that we had. With that equipment, we could do so in an outdoor common area in the apartment complexes at a safe 6-foot distance. Not only did she find the funding to purchase the equipment, but she also saw it through. She came to every event we held. She had the vision to take the idea to other schools within our district, and with her help, I think it was one of the things that helped the Beaverton School District to have relative success with the distance learning compared with other districts in the county or in the country.
Thank you,
especially
Mr.
with
Bush.
the most vulnerable students. With Sarah, you're getting a leader who was able to identify innovative areas that could help
Thank you,
all
Mr.
people in
Bush.
Washington County.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's going to be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mike Salvador. Sorry if I butchered that, Mike.
That's all right. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can. Please go ahead.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, for the record, Michael Salvaggio, Political Director of United Food and Commercial Workers Local 555. I understand that Madison just testified on behalf of the organization, but I'm here to convey the collective wishes of a number of our individual members in Washington and Multnomah counties who sent statements supportive of Alexandria Goddard. Please understand that many of them do not have the time to attend even remote meetings. Many of them are your constituents who are on shift right now. So these communications are their way of engaging in this process. Our supporters are not show horses, they are workhorses. We are typically BCC'd on the emails that our members sent, and I would like to put on record that we've identified 47 emails set ahead of the Monday deadline that don't seem to appear in your meeting packet. The reason that I want to emphasize this is because I think this really underscores the broad support that Ms. Goddard has for this position. As Councilor Brooks noted previously, Ms. Goddard received an absolute blowout 64% of the votes in a three-way nomination race. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Mark. And Mark, if you could give us your last name can you hear us?
Yes. My name's Mark Richardson. Can you hear me?
Yes, can. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a longtime resident of the area. I'm a librarian at the Cedar Mill Library, and I wanted to heartily express my support for Alexandria Goddard to be the next representative for House District 34. I've known her for a number of years now, and I'm constantly impressed by her poise, conversational abilities, and her willingness to engage and listen to points of view that may be different from her own. She's thoughtful, fair, and conscientious, all qualities that would serve us well in the legislature. The fact that she is knowledgeable, industrious, and has years of experience working with the legislature are also points in her favor. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you much. Next, we have Lindy Ursay. Lindy, can you hear us? Can you guys hear us, Lindy?
Oh, yes.
There you
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay. Thank you. So my name's Lindy Erson, and I'm endorsing Sarah Beachy. I've been a resident of Washington County for nearly 25 years, and I work in healthcare as a licensed clinical social worker at a local hospital. I met Sarah Beachy a few years back when we both went on a women's trip to India, and I quickly became in awe of her. You learn a lot about someone through travel, and I can tell you that Sarah is the first to step in when going to a community kitchen at a Sikh temple to bake bread and serve food. I've watched her firsthand sit down with acid attack survivors and hear their story of survival while holding their hand. I've seen in our local community groups when someone needs help, Sarah's the first to offer support and be available whenever someone's going through a hard time. I recall a woman who was new to the area who lost her belongings in a fire and needing help going through what was left. Sarah, not knowing her, was the first to step in to help. She's committed to serving her community, dedicated, driven, protective, and will fight for all community members. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, that concludes this, and I'll note for the record as I sent to all commissioners the additional 35 emails received, and I summarized them after the deadline that 27 were for Mari Watanabe, 7 were for Alexandria Goddard, and 1 for Miss Beachy.
Clerk Moss.
Yes.
There was one person who signed up, but she just texted me that you didn't read her name. Would it be possible for her to give her testimony?
Yes, what is her name?
Shelley Romero.
Shelley, can you raise your hand? I'm not seeing her on Zoom name or hand raise. Oh, had an iPhone. Okay. Shelley, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, you will be our last person. Please go ahead.
Yay, good. All right. Hi, my name is Shelley Romero, and I'm asking you to support my friend and colleague, Mari Watanabe. I grew up and have worked extensively in Washington County, and today I live and work in Portland.
I can't underscore how awesome Mari is. She's got private, corporate, nonprofit sector experience, advocacy experience, working with local, state, federal, and international levels of government, and championed judicial fairness and representation. She's a dedicated policy advocate and volunteer champion for equity and inclusion, economic and workforce development, women, immigrants' rights, police and communities of color relations, education, and the arts. She she never planned to seek public office, but many people approached her in the community and asked her to seek this appointment, which is one of the reasons I think that it actually makes her the perfect person for this job. She's a pragmatic, active listener, coalition builder, servant leader, and big picture systems thinker. If Mari is successful in garnering your support for this appointment, she will bring her lived experience and invaluable perspective to the legislature. She's highly ethical and exercises strong values and ethics in everything she does. She's lived in her neighborhood in North Bethany for over 20 years, and with your help and your vote, we will make Mari the first Japanese American to serve in the state legislature. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everyone spending time with us, and back to you, Chair Harrington.
Clerk Moss, I just want to check, was R.T. Ramkrishna still part of the meeting set? Should we give that person a second time to be heard?
No, he has dropped off of Zoom.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for all of that testimony this evening in support of your preferred candidate. We're now going to move forward to hear from each of the candidates, and we're going to start with Sarah Beachy.
Good evening, Chair Harrington, Chair Vega Peterson, and Washington and Multnomah County Commissioners. My name is Sarah Beachy. I use she and her pronouns, and I live in the Bethany area of unincorporated Washington County with my 3 children and husband. Since moving here almost a decade ago, I became involved in local issues almost immediately when our elementary school was going to be split up due to overcrowding. I stepped up to serve on the Boundary Adjustment Committee, hosted coffee chats for the incoming principal because there was no building yet, and helped found and then lead with a group of amazing women the new parent-teacher organization that provides so many of the academic enrichment programs the students were used to having in their former school. That involvement led me to serve on other boards and committees, such as the School District Budget Committee and the North Bethany County Service District for Roads, which I have chaired for the past few years. It also led me to working for the Beaverton Education Foundation to raise money for other schools, because I was struck by the deep disparity in our funding across the district. I'm proud to say that over 5 years and COVID, I raised over $500,000 for teacher-led classroom projects. I've worked with the CPOs on issues related to the urban growth boundary, and I served on Washington County's local investment team for Metro's 2020 Transportation Initiative. As you all know, these are not just local issues. They are all highly impacted by state policy. And I know that because I worked at the state level for 6 years and 3 budget cycles as the legislative aide to a state senator in Ohio when I was in my 20s, who was the ranking Democrat on the state budget committee. I also worked for Congressman Steny Hoyer for a term when I was in college. I do this work not out of personal ambition. I've been approached by quite a few community members about running for this myself. But I believe that when we lift up working families and we invest in our children, and when we fight for the most vulnerable among us, we create a stronger, more resilient community. That is why I want to represent House District 34 in Salem. I know what it takes. I've done the job before, and I am ready. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next we'll hear from Alexandria Goddard.
Chair Harrington, Chair Vega Peterson, Commissioners, thank you for your time tonight and over the last month or so that we've been moving through this. My name is Alexandria Goddard. I am a lifelong House District 34 resident, and for the last 4 years, I've served as a legislative director for members in both the State House and State Senate. I have a proven record of passing smart policies that are already going to work in our communities, making us safer and helping them thrive. In fact, just 2 nights ago, a Washington County sheriff told me they were able to seize 2 vehicles being used in an illegal street racing operation, thanks to a 2023 bill that I helped pass. But this isn't just my job, it's my passion. I believe that public service should be a labor of love, and I love this community. I have deep ties to this community and a proven history of accomplishments, which is why I won nearly 64% of the PCP vote on January 5th and was ranked first as their first choice. My community wants a voice that can get things done on day one, and that's why local leaders, teachers, and small businesses owners have all endorsed me. I'm a gun violence survivor and have a long history of working on and passing legislation to address gun violence prevention, suicide prevention, and domestic violence prevention. And that is why Nursing Board Director Rachel Prusak endorsed me. I'm a 4th-generation union worker and member and have been standing up for a strong workforce for years. That is why every union that endorsed in this appointment process endorsed me. I've been at the table with current representatives and senators working to address our most pressing issues, which is why state electeds like Senator Gorsuch, Representatives Munoz, Nelson, and Walters have all endorsed me. I'm a champion for life-saving policies to stem our drug crisis and educate our youth. And that is why advocates like Tony Morse and Tony Vesna have endorsed me from the front lines. I'm truly honored to be standing up for the community that has raised me, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we'll hear from Mari Watanabe. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Mari Watanabe, a resident of House District 34 for 20 years and have worked in the corporate, nonprofit, public, and educational sectors. Like many of you, after the results of the November election, I began to wonder about my neighbors and my friends, some of whom are in the LGBTQ community, and some like me that have experienced discrimination. I am concerned about what the new federal administration might mean to Oregon in terms of funding and law enforcement policies. Vice President Kamala Harris urged us not to throw our hands up in despair, but to roll up our sleeves. Well, my sleeves are already rolled up and have been for decades, and I'm ready to bring my strong work ethic and deep care for my community to get things done. After reviewing both counties' legislative priorities, I recognize the complex challenges ahead that are deeply intersectional, including behavioral health, housing, education, and the broader social determinants of health. I will focus with you on these to ensure the well-being of our communities. Just a second, I gotta grab a drink. Our counties face budget cuts. I know you are on the front lines grappling with difficult issues. I want you to know that I am here to listen and to champion your priorities. Whether it's to ensure the CAT in Washington County opens on time to provide more beds or supporting a deflection center in Multnomah County, I grasp the budget challenges you face, and I am committed to working alongside you to bring resources back to our community. Despite these financial constraints, both counties have been leaders in advancing equity and inclusion, working tirelessly to provide housing and wraparound services, and all while leading with a climate justice mindset. I will bring my years of wisdom, lived expertise, many relationships, and my proven track record in bringing people together to deliver results for our district. I am committed to fostering collaboration and achieving meaningful progress. As the recipient of the Oregon Commission for Women's Lifetime Achievement Award and the FBI Community Engagement Award and several other leadership honors, I have demonstrated my commitment to advancing equity through collaborative efforts across the state. I look forward to our conversation today. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to each of you. Next, we'll move into questions for our candidates from commission members. We'll be starting with Washington County. and will alternate between Washington County Commissioners and Multnomah County Commissioners. And I don't have any chosen order, so feel free to raise your hands. And then with that, we'll also alternate between the candidates answering, starting with Sarah Beachy. So commissioners from Washington County, who would like to go first with a question? Nobody? Okay. True to form, I'll go first.
Okay, I'll follow you, Chair, then.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you raise your hand. You go ahead.
No, I didn't raise my hand, Chair. You beat me to the mute, so go ahead if you want.
No, that's okay. You go first.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. Sarah, Alexandria, and Mari, thank you for joining us tonight. I really appreciated hearing you all and look forward to the dialogue we're about to have. I asked this question back when we were appointing Lisa Reynolds to the Senate District, because it was right after the November election and the current administration and a lot of the unknown surrounding and a lot of the fears that that was coming out of it, both in the news and dialogues with our constituents. So I'll ask this way. Could you speak to the civil rights work you have done, your experience in civil rights, and how you have planned to continue advocating for civil rights, especially in light of the upcoming administration and the fears that many have regarding the rollbacks on civil liberties?
Thank you, Commissioner Fye. So first we'll hear from Sarah Beachy, then we'll move to Alexandria and then Mari. Thank you. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you, Commissioner Fye. So I have quite a extensive education background in the civil rights movement, from college, and I lived quite a few years in Atlanta, in the heart of the civil rights movement. It was a passion of mine from very early on. So I think there are a lot of lessons to be learned on our history. And really the formation of our country, including Oregon's past, with exclusion of Black people from owning land and living here. And I think we feel those reverberations to this day throughout our state. And specifically, I think we're looking at immigration and deportation issues that the Trump administration is threatening. And I know what it's like to have to fight for your kids and family, but I've in no way had to flee my country in order to do that. And that's what these people are facing. And it doesn't just break my heart, it makes me angry for the way people have been talked about. And that's who we need to fight for. I know I have a personal friend who has adopted a child, but who turned 18 before she was granted her citizenship, and now they're afraid their family is going to be broken up. So I mean, those are the kind of the issues that I'm proud that Oregon has defended and has secured, and that we are a sanctuary state, and that our cities like Portland, Beaverton, Hillsborough, and Washington County, I'm sure Multnomah County too, has fortified their stances on being immigration sanctuary cities and states and municipalities. So I'm proud of that. And this is the kind of fight that we're in for. And that's what I will continue to do for wherever I've lived, and for the people I've known, and for my friends and for my neighbors. You have my commitment to fighting for their civil rights. And I will say, locally, I've been proud for our school to be named after the Sato family who was interned here, and working with that family on getting it named and dedicated to to the Sato family, based on the history for the Sato family for owning farmland around here, and for them being interned, and for us to be able to honor them, and then teach our kids about the history of the area. That's so very important. I don't know. Do we have a timer?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Sarah.
I'm going to say that was about 2 minutes.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. And next we'll hear from Alexandria on that question.
Commissioner Fye, thank you so much for that question. You know, like so many people in Oregon, my family took a pretty winding path to get here. And my grandmother's family, my family, were made American citizens when Hawaii was taken as a territory. And that particular situation changed their trajectory. But there's one thing I've learned through that story told through the years, and that is that diversity should be celebrated. All threads of our community should be celebrated, and we should give all members of our community the full ability to reach goals and opportunities. I'm particularly concerned about our federal landscape coming, especially as we've already seen attacks on immigration policy, like the Lack and Riley Act, which has passed the Congressional House and is moving through the Senate. And I'm actually already working with national and statewide partners on a response and different policies that we can take here in actions we can take here in Oregon to strengthen our sanctuary protections, protect our friends and neighbors who may be under attack by a hostile federal government, and find ways to really navigate a scary time.
Thank you, Alexandria. Next, we'd like to hear from Mari on that same question. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Commissioner Fye, for that question. Civil rights is me. I have been working on civil rights for decades, from partnering with the White House initiatives on Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander affairs to my family's lived experience of incarceration during World War II. I have been involved in civil rights organizations and ran educational programs for years to educate others about the incarceration injustice so that we do not repeat that again. Unfortunately, with the new administration coming in, we will need to be super vigilant to protect our Oregon constituents in the LGBTQ community, immigrant and refugee community, and other vulnerable populations. I am already involved in work to prepare for the new administration, along with other fellow legislators, community organizations, and community leaders. Our own Department of Justice has launched a toolkit to help people and employers understand their civil rights. We also have a sanctuary state hotline for those who need help. I have been an active participant for 9 years in Building Bridges, a yearly gathering of our communities of color and law enforcement to learn from each other and to build important relationships. Also, back when the rise of Asian hate crimes happened, I will never forget the day when 6 Asian women were killed in a salon. I was a part of creating Oregon Rises Above Hate, which holds our electeds and law enforcement accountable to make Oregon a safer place for Asians, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. I also created the Northwest Equity Summit, which brought over 1,000 people to learn about how to be more equitable and inclusive. I will always continue to fight for civil rights in this state, and I hope to fight alongside all of you, commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, I would like to ask the Multnomah County Commission who would like to ask a question first as part of our rotation. Going once, going twice.
Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think all of you have, at least when we spoke, mentioned some around homelessness, and it's a top priority, I think, for both Multnomah County and Washington County in our region. The current crisis is driven primarily by the lack of affordable housing. And what are some of your ideas to address the lack of affordable housing, and how will you work with the legislature and the counties to implement those ideas?
We will start with Alexandria on this one. So go ahead, Alexandria.
Commissioner Singleton, thank you so much for that question. I see there are two big issues in housing, and that is getting people housed and keeping them housed. And so one of the things that I'm really looking forward to working on is kind of strengthening some of our current housing services that are some of our most successful rent assistance programs actually depend on federal funds that we just don't know where those federal funds are going to be coming from in the next few years. So one of the very first things that I really want to do is dig into our money, look where it's coming from, look where we can potentially be getting that money from our own pockets, and making the state a little bit shored up and protected from federal changes. So that's one of the first things I would really want to see. The other thing around housing is about smart housing. We see a lot, especially in this area, of apartment buildings and single family homes. And there are developments of multifamily homes and duplexes, triplexes, but not nearly enough to keep the housing cycle and the housing market accessible to people. So that's another really big one. Every step that we can give people access into housing and keep them housed is going to be really key. And I know that the counties are working really hard to build shelters and bring beds to get people housed. We need the next step as well to keep them housed.
Thank you. Mari, how about you? Whoops, I can't hear you. There you go. Now I can hear you.
Sorry, I was, as usual, the mouse doesn't work when you want it to. So every community member deserves housing, and housing can transform the ability for individuals to live a full and comfortable life. We must work hard with our counties, cities, and developers to ensure that we have affordable housing. And it's more than just getting housing, it's providing services to keep housing and improve the quality of life. So we need to increase our housing supply. We also need to increase shelter capacity. And by keeping people in their homes with renter protections and vouchers so that they can stay. And also in the communities of color, this is an important piece to help keep them in their homes as well. So those are some of the things I would do. I agree, looking at the money is also very important. So thank you.
Thank you. Sarah. Here she is on my screen.
Let me go over to my button myself. Yes, thank you for the question, Commissioner. And yeah, as we look at the complex issue of homelessness, one of the big inclusions is that the main driver is lack of affordable housing. And we know we're in a housing crisis, and I know that the Governor Kotek and her proposed budget, I know that there's been a lot of funding from the last couple of years, but we haven't been able to realize the results quite yet. We're starting to correct it, but it's going to take some time. And this issue goes to some systemic issues, equitable access to buying a home for those historically disadvantaged. Our renters are hit the hardest when they don't have enough money to pay rent and then to afford other basics like food and childcare and transportation. And then part of that is when the family units are most hardly hit with lack of affordable housing. So we know we're about 140,000 housing units short of what we need. So we really need to look at maybe things like a renter's credit, loan and grant programs to help fix up and repair homes, to help prevent people from losing their homes, and prevent corporations from buying up homes and then turning them into rentals that's kind of driving up some of the prices and home availability. And I know that there are some great things that Washington County has been able to advance, as far as the Opal House, being able to have affordable housing for older LGBTQ people. So those are the kind of initiatives that I want to be able to support. And we have to be able to, help prevent people from slipping into homelessness. And with, I think one of the legislative priorities with Washington County is to ensure those solutions for aging adults and people with disabilities, especially, which is kind of close to my heart. And stabilizing low-income rents through tenant protection policies. Let's get some rental stabilization measures going, and intervene before people are evicted. If we can go in there and get some prevention and intervention services, that will help. Understand why people might not be able to afford and help them afford. And I know for my daughter, who actually,
thank you, Sarah.
There are some great programs out there that we can learn from other cities.
Thank you. Tonight's a little bit different because we don't have our timer window like we usually do in our meetings. So I know we commissioners are looking for that ourselves. All righty. So continuing on with our round robin, who from the Washington County Board of Commissioners would like to pose a question? Go ahead, Commissioner Treese.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to our candidates that are here. I really appreciate your thoughtful answers. My question to you is, what key steps do you think the state can take in addressing workforce development issues? We're all very aware that we have jobs and we have people, and we don't have the matchup between those that are ready to take those jobs. Please talk to all of us about your thoughts on that issue.
And continuing our rotation, we will start with Mari. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Commissioner. So workforce is one of my areas that I have worked in for a while. Having served as vice chair on the Portland Community College Board and in other organizations, I've championed to continue to build workforce development. So one thing that I would like to see done is the expansion of career technical training, because we need more talent out there. We also have a deficit coming up where in 5 years, there will be more older workers than younger workers. And so we need to work on keeping older workers in the workforce, and community colleges can help train and also reskill them if need be so that they stay in the workforce longer. When I was in Partners in Diversity, I championed research that actually helped to understand how we can get immigrants and refugees with advanced degrees back into the workforce with the degrees that they have. So Senator Denbrough wrote a bill. I worked to help pass this, and what it would be is to help find faster pathways for these immigrants and refugees that are here with education degrees, nursing, doctors, pharmacists, all things that our current employers need and are dying for, or not dying for, don't want to say that, are really needing in their workforce. So we also have to create better ways to retain the workforce, because developing them is one thing, but retention is another. So making sure the workforce knows what companies need, so we can build the programs that they need so that these students will be able to go through them and be able to go out and get great jobs. One of the things that I know is Portland Community College has the #1 nursing program in the country. So, but we need more instructors so that that program can fill the need of all the students that want to go through it. We also need more culturally competent behavioral health specialists. Same thing, is we just need to find these pathways to get students that into finding jobs and then them into wanting to stay here in Oregon and work. So I would.
Thank you, Mari.
Yep, sorry, I'm done. Thank you.
Next up, we'll have Alexandria.
Thank you so much for this question. I know it's, workforce is such an intersectional issue, and it really gets to the root of some of our other issues around mental and behavioral health in particular. And I think one of the first things we can do to bolster the workforce shortage kind of problem and get people in is supporting our unique and interesting approaches to getting people certified. There are programs like AFSCME's apprenticeships program specifically targeted to get people certified to fill mental health gaps, which helps get people educated and certified without straddling them with unreasonable debt. PCC has launched their mobile skills trade program, which allows people to have apprenticeship skill training, including welding, and it moves to them. We're not asking people to go to the classroom as we traditionally would think about it. Those programs are so critical in getting new people into our workforce and alleviating some of this. The other part is retention. But retention is going to come down to who are we having come in behind and alleviate some of the burnout, alleviate the overtime, alleviate those issues. So retention is really critical in workforce, and we can tackle recruitment and we can tackle retention in creative ways, I would say, and utilize our existing programs and our existing resources to be smart, savvy, and cost effective.
Thank you. Sarah, have we heard from you on this question?
Nope, not yet.
There you go.
Okay, so yeah, just like Mari said, actually our CTE, our community and technical career education system is, I think, vital to this, and that was a major component of funding from Beaverton Education Foundation was our CTE programs in our schools, and so we were able to. I've seen these develop from the ground up, teacher-led. They know what the workforce needs locally, and teacher-led asks for our programs from the auto shop at Aloha High School to the disability students having shops so that they are able to model and learn skills to go out into the workforce when they graduate. We also can rely a lot on our community colleges. It's a great resource with PCC being in different areas to be able to help with knowing our needs and connecting. It's our little tagline from BEF was connecting the community with our classrooms, knowing what our community needs and being able to access those resources. But I think there are strategic things that we can target when it comes to specific parts of the workforce, and we can take a model like I studied the education system and a long time ago and the teacher workforce before, and there are specific things like grant and loan repayment programs, and we can incentivize going into and staying in the workforce with requiring like 5 years of service before getting with a loan deferral program before paying it back. Especially we need to look at grow your own programs that support individuals from the community to go into these jobs that help diversify the workforce and reflect the community in which they, just like in teaching or with patients and work in behavioral health care, that the people who are serving the community look like the community.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay.
So Multnomah County Commissioners. Commissioner Singleton asked a question. Who else? There you go, Commissioner Moyer. Thank you.
Continuing on some of what was said, and also piggybacking on Commissioner Singleton's homelessness, I want to specifically ask what you think the most pressing issues confronting our behavioral health system are, and how would you address those issues?
This question will start with Sarah.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Moore. So there's no question that we need expanded behavioral health services for all ages and backgrounds. And there are, and as you've recently found in Washington County with the opening of the CATT, that you can build the center, but you need the staff to be able to support it. And of course, that goes back to compensation, so that it's an attractive career and can retain the workers. But training and education is expensive, and I've heard from people about the issues with internships and fellowships, and that people are overworked and they're not able to. They can't oversee somebody for their training. So things like being able to, a solution with that would be, again, to like do a stipend or something to give somebody additional pay when they take somebody on. So there are really two issues when we're looking at retaining, getting the workforce and then retaining the workforce. So I can go on to some of my other ideas, and that requires increasing provider pay rates. We got to get creative about this stuff. We got to look to some other states. We need to look to other cities on what they've done. And I recently learned about Nevada, looked at home healthcare workers and their turnover rate. And so they targeted that population, raised the state wage, raised their wage, and now they've had almost zero turnover. So those are the kind of things that we need to look at to innovate and get some creative solutions.
Thank you. Alexandria?
Thank you so much for that issue. I think one of the issues that I see really glaringly is that behavioral health exists outside of traditional hospital rooms and clinics. I have a friend of mine who has been working with the Rose Haven shelter in Portland, and they've got nurses completing clinical hours doing kind of physical health with people who come in seeking resources, but they don't have a specific mental health response necessarily. They have trained their employees, but their employees are not mental health specific experts. So I think one of the big things that we need to be thinking about with behavioral and mental health is how we're getting services to people where they're at, and into shelters, into drug triage and treatment centers, into places where they may have other struggles going on and need an expert in the room to adequately address that and give them what they need. And then the other thing really is workforce. And we've seen a lot of people step up and find ways to get people certified, find ways to get people help and support our existing systems. But I think that we can do a lot more to bring people in and support people who have a passion and a talent for working with some of our most vulnerable people who need that support.
Thank you. Mari?
Okay. So behavioral health. I mentioned in mine the Portland Community College Board of Directors, and also that PCC has the top nursing school in the nation, but it's also the first college working on mental health certificates in Spanish. So this will provide more cultural access to healthcare workers. We value providing qualified and culturally specific individuals in that workforce. So I realize behavioral health is one of the top issues for both counties from a funding perspective. And I know the state has made some valuable investments that have benefited both counties, but more needs to be done. Our system has gaps. And whether it's looking at our current services and funding, we have work to do. The emergency room has become a place where folks go to get help. And we must find better wraparound services along with beds to ensure we are meeting people where they are at. However, if we have a good process and enough beds, we still face a shortage of workforce. And I'm proud of the work that I've done to address workforce shortages. So with the population in both counties becoming more racially diverse, I have been training employers to be more inclusive and welcoming so that more people of color will want to work in their organizations. And I will work to continue to find pathways for people to work in this important field. There would be an opportunity to increase our partnerships and incentive with the counties to fund more educational opportunities for students going into these behavioral health fields. And I've been following the SHS debate, and I know you have a large deficit that you are dealing with. And it's difficult to look at the programs and decide which program gets cut. But I know your staffs are working very hard, and the solution boards, the commissioner, to do what is best. And so I would just say, I look forward to carrying on the work that Senator Reynolds did, because I know she was highly involved in this topic, and also will continue to support whatever solutions we come up with. I will help you in the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Snyder, next question for Washington County or from Washington County.
Thank you. And I'm going to take a little bit of a different tact and not ask a specific policy question. I'm going to ask more of a general leadership question. I want to know from each of you, what is the biggest mistake or error in judgment that you've made in a professional or business situation? Why did it happen? What would you do differently to prevent it in the future? And how did it turn out?
All right, Alexandria, we'll start first with you with this one.
Oh, got a big one. I would say that for many people who work in policy, it's unavoidable to have miscommunication and missteps along the way. That is the nature of complicated work, especially when there are a lot of ideas and opinions going into that work. I think that at the heart of issues with policy and mistakes perhaps in the past would be not having enough voices in the room. I think that when we bring people to the table and have honest conversations about how we're feeling about issues, how we're feeling about a particular policy, where we're thinking we may vote one way or another, you can really minimize those miscommunications and misjudgments of one another and of policies. So for me, I would say that that's really where I think the largest gaps can be in policy and what we can do to kind of alleviate them.
Mari?
Okay, thank you for that question. So this is in regards to leadership. So I will say the biggest mistake in judgment I made when I was younger was thinking that I would get promoted up the ladder because I was really good at what I did. And being a person of color, that just does not happen. And so why it happened is why I thought that was because that's what culturally I have learned from my parents, that we as Asians, we keep our head down, we don't make waves, we do a good job, and then our bosses will move us up the ladder. Well, that's just not true. That's what I found out. So what I did was get some leadership training. And I learned that I need to speak up more, to have a voice, to be able to talk about my successes. We are always trained to be humble as an Asian culture. And so we never brag about what we do. And I also found that I always thought actually that my boss should know this because they're my boss, but that is not true either. So definitely speaking up and not in a braggart way, but being able to articulate, what we have done in our workplace that benefited the organization or how we met our goals or whatever the case may be. So that is, so I'm hopefully will continue on this path. I'm a forever learner and be a good leader also in the state legislature, learning what I know now.
Okay, my turn. I am actually going to be honest with you here and say that it's this situation. I believe that I have support from the community, from the voting members here in the district, and thinking that that would be enough. So I did not pursue endorsements that I believe that I could earn definitely in the future, having been a union member myself and a supporter of unions in the past. And I just believe that working hard and doing the right thing would prevail. So I do see that as a failure in the pursuit of this appointment.
Okay, we've heard from each of our candidates on that question. Multnomah County Commissioners, is there any last member who hasn't asked a question that would like to ask a question?
So, Chair Harrington, I have a question.
Okay.
I want to see, so I was a state representative for 2 terms and I really enjoyed that. But I always say that if I ever went back to the legislature, I would be a much better representative because I have such a good understanding now about how local government works and how what the states do and the actions the state takes and the legislature takes has an impact on what's happening on the ground in people's neighborhoods and communities through the work of local government. So my question for you is, can you talk a little bit about your experience with local government and how you would work with local governments if you were to be the state representative?
And Mari, we'll start with you.
Well, first I'd like to thank you for that question, Chair Vega Peterson. So I think I've already shown through my endorsements how I've been able to work with or people who have worked with me at the state, the city, the county level, even THPRD. I had almost the full board endorsing me. So I think also my time on the Beaverton Diversity Advisory Board, I was able to work with all the electeds there. I am frontline as a commissioner, and I won't walk away from continuing to work at the local levels with you if I'm appointed to this position. Thank you.
Right. Sarah?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah, why I think a lot of us have come from working in the community, and that's where I've concentrated my efforts the last few years. I think you heard from a lot of people who know me from the area and the work that I've done. And I think that it does better inform. It's just what you were saying. It does better inform your representation on the state level, and I think it's critical to this appointment and the seat in general. It's why it's part of the reason why I'm going for it, is because we are unique in that it is a majority of unincorporated Washington County, and it has its unique. There isn't another level of representation. There's no municipality, there's no city, and I'm constantly reminding people that explaining to people that they don't live in Portland and they don't live in Beaverton, even though their address is Portland or they are served by the Beaverton School District or Hillsborough School District or whatever. So those are the kind of things, that's that local work. I mean, I think you've all seen my resume and have heard school budget committee, but local investment committee for Metro. I mean, my transportation work. We're not single entities. Our borders, nobody sees that county line and says, oh, nope, this is different. What we need to do, we see these transportation issues as, that's why I was so interested in serving on the Metro investment team, was because what happens in one area affects us in another area. And if we can ease congestion in one area, it will help things in another area. And so that's really what I bring to the table. And that's why I believe this seat is so important, that somebody knows the local issues, especially on urban growth boundary issues that we're dealing with up here.
Yeah. Alexandria?
Thank you so much for this question. As a serving legislative director for the Senate co-chair of transportation, something that I've been working on quite a bit is that preserving the 50-30-20 funding mechanism around transportation. And so recognizing that this isn't just about money is really important, but that's a big one. The counties can't do everything unfunded or underfunded. And we have to be working together, especially on big packages like the transportation package, to preserve how we help you and how, you are good stewards of that. Additionally, I think it's about communication. We have to be good listeners to our county and frankly, a bit of a speakerphone on the House floor for what's going on with our local districts, our needs of the county, and really going to bat for things that other people just don't understand necessarily. I know that Washington County in particular has some big funding asks in our new courthouse, and looking at things like the law library and finding, those things. You guys have done so much to really lift up different programs, but certainly the state can do more to help you backfill those types of things that for a long time you've been taking lead on.
Thank you. Commissioner Willie, would you like to ask the next Washington County question?
Of course. Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Well, so we've heard a lot about your experience and some of the benefits that you bring, I guess, to this position. What we all know, that there's a lot of places that you can spend money. This is a long session, so you're going to have plenty of opportunity. I guess, and you also know what Washington and Multnomah County governmental legislative priorities are. So I would like to hear what your top priority will be going into this long session.
All right. Sarah, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Commissioner Willie. Yeah, I have three top main priorities at this point. Number one is childcare funding, adequate and accessible and affordable childcare. And there is no reason why a person should lose their home because their childcare subsidy was cut. And that has been the situation in some instances across Oregon. You know, when we fund childcare, when we make sure that families and parents can work, we have better, you know, they're obviously able to work and contribute to society, and it helps our workforce and our economy. The other part is education. Boy, that's not a surprise to anybody. But early childhood education, and then also programs for summer school. Again, Beaverton Education Foundation was a funder of Camp Achieve for Beaverton School District. That became a pilot project that they were able to go to the state and actually end up with a funding revenue stream based on our data and implementation of that program. Really, as I have explored the county needs, I really believe that you are the front line of services to our most vulnerable people, and that's what we need to support. And that would be one of my top priorities, to make sure that you are funded to be able to serve your behavioral health needs, mental health needs, in the community corrections area. So I'm all for looking at refiguring some funding formulas, and getting, you know, the stabilized and sustainable funding that you need to provide these services.
Right. Alexandria?
Thank you for that question. I'll try and keep it to just one priority because that's what you were asking for. So I think I'd have to go with healthcare, actually. Normally, I work on education and I love working on education, but I see our current status as critical with healthcare. It's not just a shortage everywhere. In some places, we have healthcare deserts where people don't have any care. And so I'm actually partnering with sitting members currently working on a draft that would really expand our healthcare net for people who need access to healthcare. Here in the home district, that's critical with our healthcare shortage, and we're seeing really high patient to provider ratios. But in our more rural communities and our neighboring counties, we're seeing a percentage that's outrageous. We're seeing one provider for an entire town. And that just doesn't work for me. So I'm currently partnering and currently working on a draft that would help expand our safety net around healthcare and getting people care where they're at.
All right.
So I think the first thing I do on this question is I would probably meet with the government relations people in both counties to see what they actually want their number one to be. But generally speaking, we know this is a big transportation session, and also housing is still a huge issue. So I would want to look at the bigger picture of making sure that we have the infrastructure. It's not just not roads and bridges, but also it's being able to have workforce housing and making sure that the systems are all talking to each other. So the police is talking to behavioral health, is talking to the hospital, so that we are making sure that we have a well-rounded. I talked a little bit about the social determinants of health, but everything that you do affects something else in those social determinants of health. So everything has to kind of work together. So that's what I would focus on.
Okay, another question, or which county commissioner hasn't asked a question yet that might ask a question? Go ahead, Commissioner Brim Edwards.
Thank you. And I'm going to riff a little bit off the last question. in terms of priorities. So one of Multnomah County's priorities, and I know it's an issue for many other counties across the state as well, but the state reimburses counties for the cost of community corrections, probation, parole, and post-prison supervision. In exchange, counties operate programs that address the root causes of criminal behavior and help individuals reintegrate into the community. Historically, the state has not covered their costs. What would you do and what actions would you take to make sure that our sort of community corrections, parole, and probation system is fully funded to allow counties to maintain critical proven services, increase public safety, livability, while also reducing the reliance on costly jails and prisons?
All right, Alexandria, we'll start with you with this one.
Thank you for that question. I think there's a lot that goes into our corrections system that maybe doesn't always belong there. And that has been a big burden for corrections and for funding for a long time. We've been talking a lot about mental health tonight. But when we're being honest about it, our police are stretched thin already, and they are not the best qualified person to be responding to mental health concerns. And so I think one of the things that we can do to help out some of the burden, some of the strain, is really working on making sure that our corrections are focused on corrections and focused on that, and giving them other resources that can tackle these other pieces that are taking our officers away from criminal cases, that are taking space away from our jails, and those people don't deserve to be in jail in the first place. And then the other thing that we need to do is really look at how big our counties have grown in the last few years. Washington County itself has grown exponentially in the last 20 years. And I know for a fact our courthouse has not. And so having conversations about how old our corrections facilities are and how that impacts service is also a really key issue, I think, when we're looking at what our counties are doing in corrections and how we can alleviate some of that strain and kind of support our counties better.
Ari?
Thank you for that question. So community safety requires us to partner with our public safety partners and behavioral health professionals to ensure we have a system that's interconnected. Currently, both counties have community correction programs that work to keep recidivism rates low. And I want to look forward actually to continuing that partnership. And I'm excited to actually understand more about our mental health response team, along with working with our Washington County Sheriff to understand the unmet needs in our district. I think, I do know, I've heard that the survey happened and the reimbursement dollars was actually, there's a big gap between what you get reimbursed for and actually what it costs. I think it's somewhere $50–60 million. But I also know that I read that Governor Kotek is increasing the correction budget. So, and if there's a greater need, I will just work with the coalitions that are already in place to continue to increase public safety and keep people out of prisons.
Thank you. Sarah?
Yeah, this, as everyone has stated, I've been made aware of the $60 million gap in across the state in community corrections, and I think there have been some great programs that something that I've studied and helped somebody. The chief of police in Syracuse actually learn about is the Coots program from Eugene. And I know Washington County, I've actually seen it firsthand with a neighbor who had a mental health crisis, and Washington County sheriffs were able to come out, have a mental health assistance there as they responded to the call. I think those are the kind of innovative programs that we've been able to really help shift the responsibility away from our police officers. And my daughter is actually the crime analyst for the City of Bend Police Department. And these are the kind of issues that she's seen firsthand. and I've gotten to hear some firsthand experience from that. But in general, these go back to some of the unfunded mandates with your community corrections, and the deficit between the state requirement and how you as the counties have to implement them. I think where you've been consistently underfunded since that Senate Bill 1145, in which the incarcerated person who has to serve under 12 months comes back to their home county, combined with the aid and release ruling and the state hospital admissions problems and the lack of public defenders. You're kind of and now a deflection program that you all have to implement, and you're trying to. I know at least Washington County has started to really to get the specialty courts to really help with those kind of services, and so you're in this mess basically, and I really want to be able to. It's a good thing to bring people back to their home communities and treat them in the communities in which they live. It really helps recidivism, and it's a benefit to the whole state. But we really need to look at these funding formulas with some data-driven information, and make sure that you guys have a seat at the table when figuring these things out. And that's what I believe, again, as a state rep who only has another county government, to be that voice for an advocate for our county, and thus our constituents.
Thank you. So I think I'm the only Washington County Commissioner who hasn't asked a question yet. And given that we still have to hear closing remarks from our candidates and open our discussion, I'm going to pass in terms of asking a question so we can move on with our evening, because it's 8:30 in the evening now. And I know everyone here has had a long day, including our audience. But Commissioner Jones-Dixon, I believe you're the only Multnomah County Commissioner who has not yet had a chance to ask a question. It's up to you, sir. I'm not trying to force a question.
Thank you, Chair. Just have a quick question, actually, just building off of Commissioner Wiley's question. And you can tie this into your final remarks, just because I know we're pressed on time. As we move beyond the COVID-19 pandemic, what will you do to make sure that our public health system is ready for the next pandemic? I know, Sarah, you talked a little bit about that. You responded to that in Alexandria as well, but you can just tie that into your final remarks, and thank you.
Is that okay with you candidates to answer that through your final remarks? Okay, all righty. So at this juncture, we're going to move through closing remarks, and our order will be as follows. First, Mari Watanabe, followed by Alexandria Goddard, and then Sarah Beachy. So there we have it. Mari, could we hear from you? Oh, did I mess up? Mari, you're up next for closing remarks. But you're muted.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. See, we're getting tired here.
Or whatever, how many years I would think that I'd be able to, but well,
You're
first
as
of all,
human as we are. All are.
I want to express my gratitude to the county commissioners for asking thoughtful questions and to help determine which of us is the best equipped to respond to the communities of House District 34 in Salem. I also want to thank my fellow candidates, Sarah and Alexandria, for stepping forward as well. So I'm thinking about the COVID response. So we need to probably have an emergency preparedness partnership. Some type of regional disaster preparedness, and I know there's an organization that actually works on this. So I think I would go out and with the appropriate team and partner and talk to them and see what we could do to make sure that we're prepared if something like this happens again. And so to really reiterate that with the new federal administration coming in, I am ready to serve, and not only the constituents of House District 34, but all Oregonians. I'm committed to ensuring that everyone thrives by protecting civil rights across all areas, whether it's for immigrants, refugees, LGBTQ community, or the fight against climate change. As you've probably heard, my family, all U.S. citizens, were unjustly incarcerated during World War II and in camps because of racial prejudice, and they lost everything. But through their resilience, a resilience that has been passed down to me, they rebuilt their lives and became successful Americans. And this painful chapter in our history has inspired me to be a lifelong champion for civil rights. I believe we must keep our eyes on the larger goals and not be distracted by the noise coming out of Washington, D.C. I bring significant experience and a track record in staying focused while the fireworks are going off. So if you choose me as the next state representative for House District 34, I promise to work collaboratively on issues surrounding our social determinants of health, including housing, education, healthcare, economic stability, healthy neighborhoods, and a healthy community. I am known for my ability to bring people together from all walks of life. I offer you my deep commitment in doing what is right and best for this district. If selected, I would be honored to be the first Japanese American in the state legislature from a district whose demographics have drastically changed. Our elementary school now in House District 34 are mostly over 50% Asian students, which is an incredible milestone. And this district deserves a representative who looks like them and understands their lived experiences. So with your support, this will become a reality. I will bring fresh perspectives, wisdom, and a unique lens to help solve the challenges we face. Thank you for your support.
Alexandria?
Thank you. I want to thank everyone again, including the commissioners tonight, for their time, their questions, and their consideration. Mari and Sarah for standing up with me and doing this. The PCPs for their engagement during the nominating convention and their conversations, as well as their vote. And the leaders across the state who have engaged with me and been working on different policies. Conversations like this one, where we've come together and had an open, honest, and complicated conversation about our biggest issues, is my preferred method of working through policy. And should you appoint me tonight, I can't necessarily promise specific policies, but I can promise this. You and our community will always be a part of this conversation. We will be having a lot more discussions like this. I will pick up the phone when I'm called, and I will represent our counties with dignity and bring voices to the table. I truly believe in honesty and integrity and open conversations between all levels of government, between members, between people in the public and community. And so that's really important to me. And I'm really committed to the people of this district. And as the only one here who's been doing a large lift of policy work down in Salem the last 4 years, I can start very strong on day one for all of you. And actually, a quarter of Oregon's population is under the age of 30, but there's not one single representative under 30. So I really want to bring a voice as well of young people and people who have a different kind of view of our future as the people who will inherit it. So I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation together with all of you and strengthening House District 34. Thank you so much tonight, and I ask humbly for your vote.
Sarah?
Again, thank you all. I know it's getting late. Thank you for the robust discussion and for all the questions, and specifically for the question on COVID response. I think what our the biggest issue around something like that at this point is misinformation. I see on the Oregon Health site all the time the comments that are thrown at them on their social media, and that person deserves a raise, whoever handles that. So misinformation at this point, I think we've been doing a great job on healthcare and coverage and protecting our most vulnerable people. Yeah, misinformation at this point is my quick answer on that. So as we all know, our communities are facing tough issues, and it's going to take all of us, city, county, and regional levels, working hard to meet the needs of our constituents. I've been doing that hard work on the ground and in our communities. My work for the Beaverton Education Foundation, as a volunteer in the schools, and with organizations like Safe Families for Children, which supports families in crisis to stay together and keep children out of the foster care system, has given me a firsthand look at the complex issues people are facing. But I also know what it's like to have to figure out whether you can keep working and afford childcare. I know what it's like to have a special needs child in and out of the hospital and then find and cover the cost of therapy he needs to experience the childhood he deserves. I know what it's like to afford a home in this area and picking up a part-time job to pay for it. Like most of you, my journey to run for this appointment began by working on local issues important to our communities. And that is where my base of support lies, with the everyday people and voters in this district, teachers, nurses, engineers, moms and dads living and working right here. But I have the unique experience of having state legislative and policy knowledge already. That's why I felt a responsibility to run. And this district has unique needs and requires a uniquely qualified person who understands local concerns and how state policy impacts us all. I've been representing this area on a variety of public policy issues. I've experienced forging good working relationships with public officials, business leaders, and the nonprofit sector. And I know what it's like to have to fight for your children and your family. And families, in all shapes and sizes, make up a majority of this district. I know this community, and it deserves to be represented by someone who has experience and a track record of service on issues that matter here. That is why I'm running. I love this community. I'm proud to raise my children here, and it is my home. Thank you all for being here tonight and hearing us all out tonight.
Wow, we have quite a decision to make tonight, commissioners. I want to thank each of our candidates, Mari Watanabe, Alexandria Goddard, and Sarah Beachy, for pursuing this opportunity and spending your time and energy in this appointment and doing your best to address our questions. So, commissioners, before we begin our deliberations, I want to share information about the allotted votes for tonight. So each Washington County Commissioner has 8.6 votes, and Multnomah County Commissioners have 0.2 per vote. And this has been determined by the Secretary of State's office. The person receiving the highest number of votes will be the person selected to fill the vacancy for House District 34, serving the term for the remainder of 2025 and 2026. So at this juncture, I would just like to open the floor up to county commissioners for any conversations with regard to deliberations. So just open it up for that, and then we'll, after commissioners have had the opportunity to speak, if you would like to speak, I'm not going to force anyone to speak, then I will ask for a motion for our consideration. Who would like to kick us off? Go ahead, Commissioner Fye.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. To our wonderful candidates for House District 34, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Alexandria, Sarah, and Mari, you did a wonderful job. You should be proud of yourself tonight and continue to stand up for Washington County continue to do the good work that you've been doing, that we've learned tonight in your effort in seeking this appointment. I appreciate everything you have all done. Sarah, you're on our board of you're one of our members for the budget committee, community member. I appreciate your leadership, and I hope to go serve with you again this year. Hopefully you'll come back with us to do the budget. I am very impressed with all three of you and what I've learned in what you shared with us, both in our meetings and the various discussions that we've had. I've also really appreciated what I've learned tonight in terms of the questions that was posed to you and the level of, knowledge and experience and passion that you've demonstrated tonight. So I want to congratulate you on a job well done and look forward to collaborating throughout our involvement in Washington County. Tonight, I'm making a pragmatic decision by choosing the candidate who is best prepared to hit the ground running from day one. After careful consideration of each candidate's qualification and readiness, I believe that Mari is the one who can step into this role seamlessly and immediately make a positive impact for House District 3. So I will be voting for Mari, and I appreciate you all.
Thank you. And I would just ask each community commissioner to follow Commissioner Fai's lead if possible, and try and limit your comments to about 2 minutes if possible. Would anyone else like to share your comments at this juncture?
Commissioner Snyder?
Yeah, I'll try to be really brief. This is a very difficult decision. All three of you have made this a difficult decision, and I want to acknowledge that. I think all three of you could do the job well and effectively for the people in this House district. That makes this tough. I do think that, at least from my observations of the interviews, my review of materials, and my in-person communications with the candidates, I think that from a depth perspective and a clear command of the issues, I will be supporting Mari Watanabe as well.
Commissioner Brim Edwards?
Thank you. This is my second time this week. I'm a poignet-on. I just did that 2 nights ago at the school board. And what a tough decision. I want to really thank all three of you. I think the rest of us who have these long campaigns think that's so tough, but to have just to be on the spot tonight to share your expertise, answer really complex questions about the work showed, I think, that you all are well qualified. And I thank the precinct people for sending us a qualified slate of candidates. I've been a 50-year resident in Multnomah County, and then for 17 years, I spent most of my working day in Washington County. And I think it gave me an understanding of the differences and the similarities of the two counties. And so I think this is a very challenging role to represent both districts. It's diverse, it has diverse needs. And when I look at the experience and the expertise of the candidates, I think all the candidates bring like a different set of skills. And when I look at what, from just my experience, both my professional experience, but also living in, also representing Multnomah County, I think that Mari Watanabe has the depth and the breadth of experience that's needed to be able to hit the ground running and represent the diversity of the district. As I've said earlier, I've been in many different spaces with Mari, and she's a powerful leader. And it's important to note, not a powerful leader with the loudest voice, but a powerful leader who people follow, because that's what makes a leader, is not the person with the loudest voice, but one that people will follow. And I found that Mari does it in a way that not also in a directive or top down, but really bringing people along to a decision and through problem solving. When I think of Mari with her sleeves rolled up, I think that's going to be a very powerful force for Washington County and Multnomah County, and for us to be represented by that. And I just would go back to, again, I think Alexandria and Sarah, whatever the decision is made tonight, I hope all three of you stay involved, because this community has some big challenges, and we need you all engaged, and you've made a big difference already. I'll just close by saying that my support for Mari is really based on both watching her lead and her work in the community. She can be a leader, or she can also follow when somebody else is leading. And I think we need people who do that. I think that we couldn't find somebody, if you just look at her resume of the types of things you've done and accomplished, that we'd be really lucky to have you serving. So I'm going to be supporting Mari this evening.
Other commissioners, thoughts? This is a tough decision for me.
Commissioner Singleton?
Thank you. I echo what you've heard from so many commissioners tonight. You all have made this really difficult, and I think all come with different expertise, different community connections, and different maybe policy priorities, but all that are priorities for the community that you would be serving. And as a person who just finished running a campaign, I want to say both look really, really hard. So I appreciate you all for the work that you've done to come to this moment, and for spending this much time with us tonight to answer a lot of questions. I as well am supporting Mari in this process. I really, not only with some of the policy priorities and hitting the ground running, but also with community leaders who I know are really supportive of Mari and the top priorities that they have for the community where they live and are part of that House district. So I will be supporting Mari as well tonight.
Commissioner Treese?
You saw me release my microphone. Thank you, Clerk Moss. This is, can't we just have all three? I mean, I really respect the work that Alexandria, you've done in the legislature. I respect the work that you did within Washco Dems. I respect the fact that you have grown up in this district and you are committed to this district. Thank you. Sarah, we have worked together, and you have been an ally in many ways. We've done budget work together. I've watched you with the Beaverton School District, and I've watched you from school districts to roads to whatever it might be. And I have a deep and unabiding respect for the way that you work, your diligence, and your ability to work with other people. Thank you for that. Mari, I've known you for a long time as well, and you are a critical element to this community at large. You bring voice to people that have not had a voice, and not in your own Japanese American community, but to many others as well through Say Hey, through the equity work that you've done. When I came to this office as commissioner, one of my first priorities was to focus on an equity resolution to make sure that we brought a new life to Washington County around the concept of equity. And this decision tonight is influenced highly by that position that I've taken. So I am going to be supporting Mari. I recognize that our PCPs in the Washco Dams have done extraordinary work in putting forward the candidate of their choice. I believe that in our roles here, we have the opportunity to see what a representative does in our community and throughout the state, throughout the counties. It's very important for me to take my values forward here and represent District 2's large community. I will be of Asian Americans. I will be supporting Mari Watanabe. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Treese. I'm going to jump in because the clock is a-ticking tonight. Unless Commissioner Willie, you wanted to go first or go before me?
No, I don't have anything in addition to say. I appreciate all three candidates for their commitment, certainly to the county and to all of their various neighborhoods and school districts and everything else. Great job tonight. I appreciate that. And I certainly know that we will have more conversations as you further your careers. And I will be supporting Mari tonight as well.
Thank you. Is it okay with Multnomah County Commissioners if I jump in, even though I'm a chair and chairs usually speak last? Thank you for your consideration. I want to thank each of the candidates tonight as you've gone through the whole nominating process and meeting lots of people. You've each worked hard at different things in serving our communities. And I join my colleagues and appreciate that. You are each very intelligent, very caring, prepared for this evening, and I thank you. I could go on, but I'm trying to be brief. I find myself, my colleagues we've had to do many of these appointments over the 6 years that I've been on this commission. And my colleagues are used to hearing me refer to and really take guidance from the direction of the precinct committee persons and their choices. But I find myself in a similar situation as to a Senate district appointment that we did, though slightly different. But I regretted having to make a choice between a really great community person and a person of color, right? Both very passionate. And like Commissioner Treese, I am an ally in advancing equity in our community. And so I'm going to go against my usual norm of supporting the PCP recommendation and cast my vote for Mari Watanabe because of the opportunity that it presents and because of the characteristic nature of the population residing in House District 34. The three of you, each of you, Alexandria, Sarah, Mari, you are each wonderful candidates. It is somewhat regrettable to me that the voters of the district aren't having the opportunity to make the choice through the ballot box. We are in the situation that we are, and I greatly appreciate you. Thank you. And who else would like to speak? during our discussion time here? And if I don't see any hand raises, I'm going to move to ask for a motion.
So Chair, I just wanted, I want to say briefly, but I want to see if there are any commissioners who, Multnomah County commissioners who want to speak.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Thank you, Chair. I ditto to everything that you stated, and just a reminder to everyone, it's kind of apropos that today is Dr. King's birthday, and what I've heard from all of the candidates, you are all champions of justice and advocates for your community, our collective community. So I just again want to express my gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time this evening. It feeds my spirit, and I believe everyone that's watching. It gives me tremendous hope. So thank you.
Commissioner Moyer?
Yeah, I echo being grateful for having three really high quality candidates, any of whom I believe would do a very fine job for District 34. I do have the pleasure of representing the Multnomah County portion of District 34 and look forward to working with whomever gets this appointment on issues related to the Multnomah County sliver, making sure that we're well represented. But I wish to thank all of you for being willing to step up in such a public way, and for all of your tremendous experience and what you have to offer.
Chair Harrington, if there's nobody else, I would like to make that motion you requested.
I would second it.
So do we have a motion to, based on what I'm hearing, to appoint Mari Watanabe as the House Representative Designee for House District 34? Is that the motion you wanted to make, Commissioner Fye?
Chair Harrington, yes, absolutely. So moved.
And for you, Julia Brim Edwards, Commissioner Brim Edwards to second?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate this. Clerk Moss, could you please call the roll for each commissioner's decision, please?
Yes, I can. Commissioner Jones-Dixon?
Aye. Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Moyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Brim Edwards?
Yes.
Chair Vega Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Fye?
Aye.
Commissioner Schneider?
Yes.
Commissioner Willie?
Yes.
Oh,
Commissioner Treese?
where'd she go?
Nope, she's coming back on.
Okay. Darn technology.
Welcome back, Commissioner Treese. It is your vote.
Thank you. Would you restate the question? I didn't hear.
The motion is to appoint Mari Watanabe as the House Representative Designee for House District 34.
Thank you. Aye.
Okay. And Chair Harrington?
Yes. That's it. It's unanimous, 10-0. Ms. Watanabe, you are getting this appointment, but wait, there's more. Clerk Moss, will you please read the appointment statement?
Yes, certainly, Madam Chair. Let's see. Oh, there we are. Whereas in accordance with the procedures established by the Secretary of State, the Multnomah and Washington County Board of Commissioners considered the nominations at this public meeting, January 15th, 2025. And whereas at the conclusion of the public meeting, the appointing authority voted to appoint Mari Watanabe to fill the vacancy, said nominee have received the highest number of votes as indicated on the vote tabulation sheet attached as Exhibit A. Now, therefore, Mari Watanabe is selected as the appointee to fill the vacancy in the Legislative Assembly, State Representative District 34. Congratulations, Madam Representative.
Congratulations.
I'm very humbled and honored, and I will serve you well. Thank you.
Thank you. So if there's no other business before us tonight, let me just go back to my Zoom screen. Anything else from commissioners before? Okay, so I want to thank our Multnomah County Commission colleagues. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure getting to start our work together as our two new commissions here in the new year. I also want to thank our two clerks for our boards. Thank you, Clerk Moss. Thank you for Clerk Hovius. I want to thank our IT team on both sides for making sure we're all set up and we're able to have a very productive Zoom meeting, and to our communications team for working on putting this meeting together and getting the announcement out so that everyone in our greater communities has the opportunity to know who the new House District 34 representative is with Mari Watanabe. So with that, we are adjourned from this meeting tonight. I hope you all sleep well, and thank you for serving such a long day today.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Bye-bye.